afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of the California Propertarian Podcast, or CA Propcast for short. I am your host, Philip Young, and as you know by now on this show, we strongly believe in the individual natural right to private property. We believe that ownership of private property is a right that is bestowed upon us by our Creator God, by our divine Creator, and that therefore it may not be arbitrarily revoked by any human entity, including and perhaps especially the state as an institution. The only just means to revoke it is through due process of law. So that's the basic principle that we believe in on this show, and we like to discuss on each episode various issues in our discourse that potentially have implications for the private property rights of Americans, and in some cases, the private property rights of people around the world. And so today, to discuss a particular angle of that, we brought on Mr. Shayan Krishna to tell his very unusual and exceptional and interesting story that brought him to where he is today. And with that, I'm going to kick over the introduction to Shayan, and he can give us a little bit of his resume and background. And then after that, as always, we'll dive into the meat of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Philip, for having me on your podcast.
It's a pleasure.
My name is Shayan Krishna, and I am a South Asian born and raised. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't think I'm a South Asian because of my blonde hair, of course.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I call it unfortunately. I'll discuss it later why I'm saying this, but unfortunately, I was born in a country called Pakistan, which was stolen from India in 1947. During the partition, things happened. They say we wanted a new country, and they created a new country, and then we all know what's going on in that country right now: terrorism, poverty, and all that thing. So yeah, I was born in that country, and the rest is history. What has happened to me in Pakistan? I had to leave Pakistan, but thank God, America, who saved my life. As always, America saves everyone's life. There's free speech in America. And that's what I say to everyone who comes as an immigrant to here, that if you're in America, you should be proud. You shouldn't be here complaining. You should be proud that you're in America, whether they're Americans or immigrants. America is the best country in the world without any doubt. Yes, there are some problems, but it doesn't mean that America is bad.
Right. Yes.
America.
That's exactly right.
America is the only country where there is free speech in it. As we can see, there are different kinds of pupils doing different kinds of protests, and everyone is allowed to follow their religious path, allowed to say whatever they want. And America is the only country where this happens, right?
Yes, we do have definitely, at a minimum, we have more de jure and constitutionally protected freedom of expression and freedom of religion and so many others than any other country in the world, both historically and currently. But be that as it may, and of course that's a fantastic thing, a beautiful thing. What I'd like to do is inquire a little bit into your personal background. It's my understanding, it's been brought to my attention that when you were a lot younger, there was a point where you were actually kidnapped by an Islamic terrorist group. And we were wondering if you could just shed some light on that situation and tell us what that was like and how you escaped and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So it was a very painful experience, of course.
Yes.
No one liked to get kidnapped.
No.
It was the time between 2007 to 2008 when there were the peak of terrorism were going on in Pakistan. As usual, Pakistan is a country, okay, I would be very honest with you. Pakistan is a country which hates America. They hate America, they hate India, they hate Israel. They just hate all the developing nations without any reason. So it was a time between 2007 to 2008 when there were war going on between America and Pakistani terrorism and all that thing was going on. Pakistanis were thinking that America is bombing Pakistan without any reason. That was their point of view. They were thinking that, and during that time, a journalist was also killed. A lot of journalists who were coming from America and different countries of Europe to investigate and cover the Pakistani terrorism things. They were getting kidnapped, they were getting attacked and all these things. So at that time, I was only 3 or 4 years old, I guess. I don't know what they thought, and they just kidnapped me. When I was going back from my school, I went from my school van, and it was, so my school van left me here, and I just have to walk less than a minute. And between that less than a minute, they kidnapped me. What they thought, we all know. Of course, they didn't tell me, but we all know that those things were happening. They thought that I am from America. even though I was born in Pakistan. But why
Yes.
they thought that I'm in America? Because I'm white, because I have blonde hair. That was the reason. They say that there is racism in America. No. If you want to see what racism is, if you want to see what terrorism is, what they're using all kind of extremism, go to Middle Eastern countries and countries like Pakistan. Then you will know what that is.
All kinds of bigotry and prejudice.
Whatever happening in America is nothing. As someone like me who was born in a country like Pakistan, I know what extremism looks like. You know, I know what extremism looks like.
Absolutely.
So they say, oh, there's a lot of extremism in America. There's violence in America. It's nothing. It's nothing like that.
Yes. Well, yeah, certainly. But by comparison, you know, I'm sure our divisions and our prejudices and our bigotry is very muted and, you know, very, very mild, you know, by comparison to, you know, where you were coming from over there. So if you're willing and only if you're comfortable with it, could you tell us like what happened when they kidnapped you? Like, did they just grab you or?
They just grabbed me. Not like grabbing. They were like, okay, just come here. There is a thing called this. Come here, beta. Beta is a thing in Urdu which is called son. Come here, son, and just like that. There was a big van. Not a very big van, just a medium size of a van. They put me here and I didn't know what's going on at that time. Until I went to a house. I don't remember exactly what house was there, but it was a very small house. So I went there. I was just sitting on a sofa and even at that time, I didn't realize it was like that. And then my family got to know about it. They called my family. They called they called first my school to know who I am. And then my school contacted my family.
Yes.
And then my family and my school and authorities got involved and they told them, no, this guy is not American. This guy was born in Pakistan. But my question is, even if I was born in America, who gave them the right to kidnap me?
Well, yeah, they've got no right. I mean, it's a monstrous criminal act and an atrocity.
So that was the moment when I started realizing that this is a country which hate humans, which hate every single one of them. They hate everyone. And personally speaking, I belong to Sindhi Hindu family. Sindhi Hindu families, we all know what's going on in Pakistan. Pakistan is prosecuting Hindus. They are prosecuting Sikhs. They are attacking Christian churches. They are doing a lot of things which are not in the media.
Yes.
Absolutely, you know? So that's the thing.
It's not reported on very much at all. So I'm curious, if you don't mind my asking, how long did they hold you?
It was, they did it at 1 p.m. and they left me around 10, 11. So it was around 9 to 10 hours.
Okay. Okay, got it. So thankfully it wasn't for very, very long. And
But I knew that if they found out or if they like somehow made up the story that this guy is an American, they would have killed me, 100%.
Right. Yeah, there's a high chance of that, tragically. So did they drop you off back home or did they just throw you out?
No. They just put me in a place and called my school to go and pick this guy.
Oh, okay.
Because of course they were criminals. They cannot show their faces, so that's what they did.
Yeah. So they wouldn't want to take you back to your house and be.
And even until whatever happened, I didn't know what was going on until like I turned 7 and 8 years old. Then I realized, okay, this was actually terrorism. What was going on?
Yes.
At that time, I was not familiar about Taliban, American politics, what's going on in the world, you know, all that thing. So yeah.
And you were saying earlier that you found out that the specific group that they were was Jamaat Islamiyah?
Jamaat Islami, which is currently a political party as well in Pakistan.
Okay.
And it's not banned. In Pakistan, they're operating openly. When Osama bin Laden got killed, they celebrated. Sorry, when Osama bin Laden gets killed, they were literally crying. And when Osama bin Laden did 9/11 and all that things, they were celebrating it. They were... Okay, I was not born... when 9/11 happened. But I knew from my friends, from colleagues, and from videos of all the environment, they were literally celebrating.
Yes.
They were literally celebrating. How can you do... And let me come on what's happening in the world right now. When it happened on October 7, the Hamas thing, they did the exact same thing.
I bet.
In Pakistan, in Palestine, all these countries, when Jews were attacked on October 7th, when Jews were attacked on October 7th, the Pakistani extremists and peoples in Palestine and some countries in Middle East, like Qatar, they were celebrating. Like, how can you celebrate when women were getting raped, when children were getting kidnapped. How can you celebrate it? And when Israel did the retaliation attack, they started crying. They're like, oh my God, free Palestine, free Palestine. Like, bro, you started this. So how can you be like that?
Well, I mean, what we have to understand about their brand of Islam is that they divide the world into two spheres, the Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam, and the Dar al-Harb, House of War. So in their theology, in their religious doctrine, they believe that they have a religious duty from Allah, their God, to make continual war against the infidel until he is either killed or he submits to the sword of Islam. So, that's how they operate. And so they regard the Hamas attack on Israel as just a war against the infidel.
Absolutely. And you know what? Like, I have known a lot of Muslims who stood with Israel after that. I know I mentioned to you before that there are a lot of Muslim celebrities, Muslims, political figures, public figures who knew the truth and they stood with Israel. So I have a lot of Muslim friends. Even my half family is also Muslim. So I know, like, not all Muslims are bad. It's just like the Islamic terrorism, which is destroying the whole world.
Yes, certainly, and absolutely. So I'm curious. I've also been made aware that recently in this last few rounds of pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protests, that have been fighting each other and dueling in our streets and tearing a lot of our university campuses apart. You attended a few of those, and you also made some like mini documentaries of it that you put on social media. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
So I went when the protests were at the end of the moments, like at the end of the days. In the start, I have seen those children coming on F1 visas in America, and they are ripping American flag.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It broke my heart. Like, who gave them the right? They are here on an F1 visa. They are here to study, and they are chanting Free Palestine. They are chanting terrorist slogans, and they're tearing American flag, destroying American flag, destroying American properties.
Yes.
And they're not even American citizens. They are from foreign countries.
Well, it's very important that that those individuals are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and that once they've served their criminal sentences, that they be removed from this country immediately.
Absolutely, they should,
permanently.
Absolutely,
and permanently.
And that's what Donald Trump has said, that whoever were involved in destroying American properties, whoever attacked our U.S. campuses should be deported. 100%. I'm 100% with Donald Trump on the statement.
Yes, yeah, and as am I. That can't be tolerated.
Absolutely, 100%.
Now, did you have a chance when you were at some of these protests, and you mentioned, I think you were at UCLA, did you have a chance to personally interact with any of the pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas demonstrators?
Not personally, but I went with an Indian delegation. Indian delegation came from India, from Indian government, and I went with them. We were around 10 to 12 Indian peoples. And we went there to show solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters. And when they saw Indian flag with Israeli flag, they were like, what's going on? They all got like super confused, and they started, first they were chanting against Israel and America. But when they saw that an Indian delegation is here to support Israel, they started chanting against India. And then all of my colleagues and my friends, they started like, okay, we have to respond to them now,
Yes.
So then, and then that video also got very viral where I say Jai Shri Ram, which is a Hindu slogan. And I say that because I wanted to give a response to those pro-Hamas supporters that India and Hindus are not with terrorism. We don't stand with terrorism. We are against terrorism, and we are with Israel. And people who don't know, in the 1999, there was a very big war happened between Pakistan and India.
Yes.
And yes, and during that time, Israel was the one who gave weapons to India, and because of that, India was able to defeat Pakistan.
Yes.
And now India is doing everything they can to support Israel.
Yes. Well, it makes sense geopolitically, that they would operate as, in a symbiotic relationship as allies. So I'm curious, did the pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas demonstrators, did they call you any names, any slurs? Did they, like verbally or physically try to attack you?
First of all, so in our religion, we believe that if you are doing something wrong, you will hide your faces. Okay? Most of the pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas supporters were like that.
Yeah.
They were not showing their faces because from their own heart, they also know that they are on the wrong path.
Mhm.
They also know it very well. They were hiding their faces. They were just chanting stupid slogans. Like, okay, there was a very funny slogan that I want to say. They were like, oink, oink, piggy, piggy, we will make your life shitty. Like, dude, this is like a slogan of a third standard. So
Yeah.
their whole mentality is like a third standard. They don't know what's going on in the whole world. They have not studied the correct history. And that's another thing what I want to say, that the whole world's educational system has to be changed.
Mhm.
We have to implement we have to tell them about anti-Semitic laws and all such things so that such things don't happen again. We have seen on social media people saying anti-Semitic slogans and all that things without knowing that we both have Apple phones, right? Apple is a company created by Zionists. Instagram, Facebook, they all are owned by a proud Zionist.
Mhm.
They are using Apple phones. They are using Instagram, Facebook. And what they're saying, we hate Zionists. We hate Israel.
Mhm.
So this is something out of the world what's going on. So I can just only say they're uneducated people, and they need to be educated properly.
Well, and I always find it particularly strange how so many of these pro-Palestinian demonstrators, and I just want to say, I'm not, the biggest pro-Israel fan in the world. I personally think America shouldn't be involved in that conflict at all. I'm kind of neutral there, but here's what I will say. It doesn't make any sense to me that so many of these pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas demonstrators are also very pro-LGBTQ. They're gay and they're trans. They must be very ignorant, because if they understood who they were supporting, they would know that they are simping for people who would gladly take them to the top of a roof, slit their throat, and then throw them off the roof.
Absolutely.
For being gay or for being trans or whatever. So that's whereas in Israel, for whatever faults Israel has, you're allowed. Homosexuals are tolerated.
Sure.
So that's very odd to me that so many of these progressive woke leftists would support an organization like Hamas. That wants to eradicate all LGBTQ people off the face of the earth just for not for doing anything in particular, but just for being LGBTQ.
Okay.
So that's very strange right there. So you got the sense that these people weren't very well educated or well read.
Absolutely. And another thing is, like, I am always curious who allowed them to come to America.
Yes.
Like, okay, let's say you allowed them and they have done such things. Why they are still in America?
Yeah.
Why they're still in America? They have destroyed American. Imagine, go to any other country and do such things in any other country.
Yeah.
Like let's say in any of the 30 Middle Eastern countries, just do that thing.
Well, you could be executed.
Exactly. No, you'd be killed immediately.
Yeah.
By the state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're ripping off American flags. I don't know what they're trying to show, and they want all the benefits from America.
Yeah.
They want to study in the greatest American universities, but at the end, what they want to do? Oh, we don't like America. America supports terrorism. Bro, if America supports terrorism, then very politely, get out. Get out from America.
Well,
leave America.
They're perpetual ingrates. That's what they are. It reminds me of when Ilhan Omar was equating American culture and identity with Al Qaeda. So she's a perpetual ingrate. The only reason that she has anywhere near the standard of living that she has is because this country rescued her from a rundown, tattered Somali refugee camp. It rescued her from a life of privation and misery. And this is how we're repaid. We're repaid by her being a perpetual ingrate and by her operating in Congress as part of a fifth column tyrant, to destroy our values, to make war against our people, and to terrorize good, honest, hardworking, and industrious Americans. So that's what we have amongst us. It's very much a fifth column, and it's subversive and dangerous. And thank you so much for standing up against that. Now, what I'd like to pivot to a little bit, if I may, is based on what you've seen, what you've observed in this country and around the world. I guess what would be some of your recommendations for how the American people at a grassroots level can combat, this sort of the sort of extremism and jihad. Jihad is terrorism that we see coming out of Hamas or Jamaat Islamiyah or the Taliban, or also from their progressive woke supporters. Here on our university campuses. What would be your recommendation for what ordinary American people can do to combat that?
the first thing what we have to do is this November to go and vote Trump. That's the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is we have to learn the correct history. I believe educational system is very important. We have to learn the correct history of America, of how, of our founding fathers and all that things, So I think educational system can play a very big role in it. And what's going on in current educational system? The little kids are getting learned about LGBT.
Right. Yes.
This is what's happening in our schools.
Young children.
Yes.
Yes.
They should not be like telling about this thing.
No,
absolutely not.
It's totally sexually inappropriate.
Absolutely.
It's grooming.
Absolutely. And see, I am a Gen Z. People think that Gen Z are very we believe in multiple genders. No, there are only two genders, man and woman. Life is very simple.
Yes.
But such leftist people have life made so much worse. Like you use someone's different pronouns and they'll be like, oh, I got offended. Like, bro, ask your parents, ask your ancestors how they were living, and you are just trying to create your own generations. This is not how things works.
Well, it's like you have somebody that obviously looks like a man. He presents publicly as a man, according to any sane person using their visual faculties, and yet he becomes enraged and very indignant when people recognize him as a man and don't use his preferred pronouns of she, her. So this is deeply inconsistent. I certainly agree with you there. So do you think that because you were mentioning to me that you counter protested against these pro-Palestinian pro-Hamas demonstrators, do you think that that counter protesting is a good tactic for ordinary Americans to use when these people show up and try to take over our streets?
Absolutely. But the other thing is we have to be peaceful.
Yes.
These peoples wanted violence.
Yes.
All they want is to make America like a third world country.
Yes.
But this will not happen. This will never happen. They want to make America like Middle East.
Yes.
That's all they want. So that's the one thing we have to make sure that doesn't happen. But yes, if these people tries to take over our roads, we have to respond to that.
Yes.
And I believe our law enforcement should play a role in it and arrest those people who tries to destroy our properties. I think law enforcement can play a very big role in it.
Yes, I certainly. Well, if having a police department has a purpose, you would think that would be it. Logically, one would certainly hope, right? But now, I guess to pivot to a policy level, what would you recommend in terms of public policy at the federal and state level to combat some of this pro-Hamas extremism that we see at a grassroots level among some of our young people in this country, and also to on another level to combat actual Islamic terrorist groups and organizations and movements such as the one that kidnapped you? So,
I believe American government should make strict laws against such Islamic jihadists such as pro-Hamas and pro-Taliban protesters. And I know when Trump comes, he's going to do it. But this is very necessary because, see, I always say this thing. America cannot afford another 9/11. We cannot. What these people are trying to do, they're trying the exact same thing. And a lot of my political colleague friends, they say the exact same thing, which is even in America, what's going on in such Islamic extremist schools? What's going on there? Do you know what they're teaching their kids?
Well, we do have a problem with some Islamist cells in this country. And there are some Muslim communities in this country, like in Dearborn, Michigan, and also in parts of New York City.
New York, yes.
And even like parts of Miami, where, Islamic extremism is actually very common.
That's true.
And that, there are likely to be lone wolf or leaderless resistance style attacks that originate from those, those self-radicalized or community radicalized individuals and small cells, that claim allegiance to or affiliation with ISIS or the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Jamaat Islamiyah.
Also, I want to clarify one thing as well. A lot of people have also think that Trump is very anti-Islamic and anti-Muslim. No, Trump is anti-jihadist.
Yes.
The people who, terrorism has no religion. Terrorism comes from terrorists, and all the terrorists and pupils who support terrorists should be prosecuted. That's what I believe.
Yes. Oh yeah, certainly. Certainly. Now, do you think so I guess we just discussed some options for the federal level for combating Islamic terror and their sympathizers at the federal level. What would you recommend perhaps at the state and the local level, and also what would you recommend for the administrators of university campuses to deal with this sort of problem?
I would say make strict laws, and not only laws, implement those laws. We cannot surrender to those foreign nationals coming to our country and saying, I'm like studying in this university, but I hate this university because this university is pro-Israel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Dude, like they're taking all the benefits from America, but at the end, what they're giving to America? Slur words.
Right.
Such words, right? Abusive words.
Or burning our flag.
Exactly. That's what they're giving to America. So if this thing continues, I think Donald Trump should make very, very, very strict immigration policies.
Well, and I think he intends to do that, especially in his second and final term. But I guess because most of this agitation and most of these protests and riots happen on college and university campuses, what do you think can and should be done by university administrators and also by students on those campuses of goodwill, who oppose this? What do you think that we can do at the university campus level to contain or mitigate this problem?
They should come up with one law, I believe. The law should be, if you say or disrupt our campus's peace, if you say anything against America or Israel, if you say any anti-Semitic slogan, you'll be kicked out from the college. If they make such laws, no student will dare to say any anti-Semitic thing. No student will dare to tear American flag.
And what I've noticed, too, is that a lot of these pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian demonstrators, they also like to disrupt classes. They like to disrupt other people's exams. They cause all sorts of problems for people that are just trying to go about their business and are just trying to complete their education in good faith. And, they'll have final exams going on, and these people are disrupting their exams. It's like that's a very serious thing.
True.
At a university campus. So definitely, personally, and you can tell me if you agree with this, I think what the university administrations need to prioritize is they need to prioritize very strict enforcement against any disruption by these people to people's normal classes and to their exams.
Absolutely. I think universities, pupils, and all the pupils in authority can make a difference. But what's going on right now is that they are getting under pressure of these foreign nationals.
Yes.
That's the whole problem.
Yes.
No matter how big the number is, the law should be implemented. Nothing is bigger than law and order, I believe.
Yes, certainly in circumstances like that, a hard hand, I think, is necessary to deal with these people. And experience has shown that when the police move in force and riot gear and they clear out their stupid little encampments where they're leaving trash all over the place and vandalizing things, these people tend to scurry away like cockroaches. So that tends to be how they operate, because that's what they are. They're little rats.
Exactly. And what I believe, if there was no Biden administration right now, if there was Trump in office right now, the war would be ended in October. There were no protests going on. Even if someone dared to protest in America, within 24 hours, he or she would be in jail if Trump was in power. But what Biden administration did? Almost nothing.
Well, you have to remember, though, that typically when protesters commit crimes, usually that's under the jurisdiction of local and state governments. So having somebody like Trump in office probably would not be sufficient to deal with that issue. What we need is good district attorneys. We need to make sure that we have district attorneys that are not installed and funded by George Soros. And we need to make sure that, we have university administrators that are willing to enforce rules against these protesters disrupting other people's classes. And we need to make sure that at a state level, that there are disciplinary and punitive options, to deal with these sorts of agitators that are violating the rights of other students.
True.
To go about their business, and that are in some cases vandalizing and vandalizing the property of others, and also violently assaulting people that they disagree with.
Absolutely.
Getting Trump in office will be good, but we need to make sure that all the way down ticket, we're voting for candidates, that are going to uphold these core principles of rule of law. And I'm sure you agree with all that. But but before we sign off and wrap this up, is there anything else you'd like to tell right-wing Americans, or pro-liberty Americans, pro-Israel Americans, or Americans who, like myself, simply just realize that most of these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas agitators are just communist, cultural Marxist agitators? Is there anything you can tell us? One final thing about how we can best carry on this culture war struggle.
Sure.
Just one thing you can leave us with.
I wanted to add one more thing in that. India, Israel, and America. A lot of people say, like, why there is an alliance between these three countries. I always say one thing. This is an alliance made by God. India, America, Israel. These three countries are a victim of same disease,
Yes.
which is terrorism, Islamic terrorism.
Yes.
The India, America, and Israel are brothers. And it's like India, America, and Israel is that bond that no one can break, I believe. Because it is a alliance made by God. And if the alliance is made by God, no one can break that alliance. So that's what I believe. Even if the whole world turns against Israel, America and India will forever stand with Israel. And with the help, I believe America, India, and Israel, these are the three countries which can destroy terrorism in the whole world. That's what I personally believe thing. Another thing, I want to wrap this thing by saying that I'm a Gen Z myself, and I have seen some of my youth activist friends saying things like, oh, I am a Gen Z, I am a young person, why would I be a conservative? So I proudly call myself a conservative American.
Good.
And I am 19 years old. So I think there's nothing like age, and I've seen on news channels as well saying, oh, leftist has the vote of young Americans. No, the things are changing now.
Yes.
Young people are realizing that leftists cannot do anything for any country in the world. They don't have any power. They cannot even protect a country. And I'm not only talking about America. I have lived in like 4 different countries, and I can tell about that as well. Leftist government in any country cannot run a country.
But you're seeing a paradigm shift among Gen Z, like they're awakening to this reality.
Absolutely, they are.
And you're seeing them turn over to the more right wing of the political spectrum.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so you're telling me that among Gen Z you're seeing a rising tide of revolt against the I guess you could say modernist, neoliberal, globalist, cultural Marxist regime that is represented by Biden and Harris and their allies. You're seeing a rebellion against
Absolutely.
that.
And what I believe, Biden was the one why these Gen Z peoples are realizing. So we have to give credit for that to Biden.
Yes, we
I would
do.
say.
And Harris and all of their administration.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. It's always nice when you can use the enemy's momentum against him.
Absolutely.
And they're doing the awakening for us. It's kind of like when John F. Kennedy said the greatest ally of the civil rights movement is the greatest desegregationist is Bull Connor. So it's the same psychological phenomenon right there. But Shayan, I want to say thank you so much for coming on today to CA Propcast and telling your story, and also giving your unique scoop that's drawn from your personal experiences both overseas and here, dealing with some of the campus protests and agitation and disruptions going on here. Thank you for giving your your unique perspective that's drawn from all that. We really value that kind of input, especially from someone as young as yourself. We hope to have you on again some point in the future.
Absolutely.
And we're honored to have you in the studio as part of CA Propertarian in Red Angeles. And we just want to say to all of you out there who watch this, thank you for tuning in as well. And as always, stick semper tyrannis.
Thank you.